What happens when a beloved acting legend comes face to face with a host who refuses to show respect? In just 34 seconds, a simple comment turned into a verbal assault that would leave one of Britain's most cherished actresses walking off set in disgust and a talk show host scrambling to justify her outrageous behavior. This is the story of how Denise Welch went too far. It started like any other episode on a crisp autumn morning in the heart of London's bustling TV studios. The lights blazed down like spotlights from a West End theater, casting a warm glow over the polished set. The audience, a mix of eager fans in their seats, chatted animatedly, their programs clutched in hand, buzzing with the kind of electric anticipation that only a star like Dame Judi Dench could spark. They had queued up early, braving the drizzle outside, all for a glimpse of the woman whose voice could command Shakespearean stages and whose eyes could pierce through the screen in any Bond film. There she was, gliding onto the couch with the effortless poise of royalty, elegant, in a tailored emerald green blouse that complemented her silver hair, paired with a simple pearl necklace that whispered of old-world sophistication. She looked utterly at ease, legs crossed demurely, hands folded in her lap, ready to dive into the heart of her latest passion project, a poignant indie film about lost love and rediscovery. Directed by a rising talent she'd mentored herself. The atmosphere crackled with warmth at first, almost familial. The studio smelled faintly of fresh coffee from the green room and the subtle, floral notes of Judi's perfume wafting through the air. Denise Welch, the show's fiery co-host known for her no-holds-barred style, opened the segment with what seemed like genuine delight. Her smile was wide, practiced from years on the circuit, the kind that crinkles the corners of her eyes and makes guests feel like old friends. Cameras whirred to life, capturing every angle, the wide shot of the cheering crowd, the close-up on Judi's serene face, the mid-shot of the panel of hosts nodding along. Applause erupted like gentle thunder, and Judi acknowledged it with a soft, inclusive wave, her fingers fluttering like pages in a well-loved book. She'd navigated this terrain 1,000 times over, the red carpet premieres, the late-night sofas, the probing press junkets. At 90, she was a fortress of composure, her career a tapestry woven from Old Vic triumphs to Oscar gold. This was just another thread, or so she thought. No reason to brace for the storm brewing beneath the surface. Well, Denise purred into the lens, her northern lilt adding a cheeky charm that usually endeared her to viewers. What an absolute treat. We have the one and only Dame Judi Dench gracing our little corner of the telly today. Always lovely to have you back. Judi, you light up the place like a proper Christmas tree. The audience chuckled warmly, a ripple of affection washing over the room. Judi tilted her head with that trademark twinkling smile, polite and professional to her bones. Thank you, Denise. It's a joy to be here with you all, she replied, her voice a melodic blend of Yorkshire grit and refined elegance, honed from decades of verse and prose. She thanked the other hosts too, a nod to the bubbly younger co-host, Sarah, and a quick glance at the veteran panelist, Mark, who beamed back like a proud uncle. Settling deeper into the plush cushions, Judi exhaled softly, her mind already drifting to the film's nuances, the raw emotion of a widow reclaiming her voice, the subtle lighting that mirrored sunset fades. She was here to celebrate that, to bridge the gap between artist and admirer, sharing anecdotes from the set that might inspire just one person in the crowd. The applause died down to a contented hum, the stage lights softening just a touch as if to invite intimacy. No one, not the floor manager with his clipboard, not the sound techs in the booth, not even the sharp-eyed producer watching from the control room, could have foreseen the fracture line forming. It was all so routine, so scripted in the best way. Praise, promotion, a dash of personality. Judi sipped from her water glass, the cool liquid steadying her, and leaned forward slightly, eyes bright with the fire of someone who still woke at dawn to memorize lines. She let the barrage hang, pausing for effect, her eyes daring Judi to crack, a calculated provocation, designed to unearth vulnerability, to go viral on the back of raw reaction. The cruelty was surgical, not just questioning choices, but framing a lifetime's labor as obsolete. A has-been act in a youth-obsessed arena. The room plunged into utter, bone-deep silence. Not a rustle, not a cough, the kind that amplifies heartbeats. Gasps punctured the void, sharp and involuntary. Mouths gaped in the dim house lights. An audience member near the aisle clutched her program to her chest, eyes wide with secondhand mortification. Sarah's face drained of color, her lips parting in a silent, "Oh God." Mark stared at his shoes, jaw clenched, the veteran in him screaming to salvage. In the booth, alarms blared internally. The feed was live, unedited, a train wreck in slow motion. Cameras drank it in mercilessly, the frozen tableau, the electric standoff, the unraveling of civility. This transcended interview. It was an inquisition, a public flaying of a woman who'd poured her essence into roles that outlived trends. From the fiery passion of a room with a view, to the quiet ferocity of notes on a scandal. To label her irrelevant, outdated, coasting, it was heresy to her devotees. A slap to the face of every understudy she'd uplifted, every director she'd championed. Judi sat statue still for a beat, then straightened imperceptibly, her spine aligning like a blade drawn from its sheath. The soft guest evaporated. In her place emerged Dame Judi Dench, the titan who'd stared down Laurence Olivier in rehearsals and outfoxed spies on global screens. Her expression hardened, jaw set, brows a subtle furrow, eyes narrowing to laser focus. The shift rippled outward, a gravitational pull that even Denise couldn't ignore. Her smirk twitched, a hairline fracture of doubt creeping in. "Denise," Judi intoned, her voice a velvet-wrapped steel rod, steady, cold, laced with the authority of epics. "I have graced this industry for over 60 years, a journey richer than most could dream. I've collaborated with titans, Hitchcock's gaze, Attenborough's vision, Brannow's fire, Oscars in my cabinet, Tonys on my shelf. A spectrum of souls brought to breath, from tragic lovers to comic crones. Always, I've chased honesty, plumbed depths that scare the faint. If you deem that safe, then our compasses point to wildly divergent stars. Artistry, to me, isn't a gamble for applause. It's a vow to vulnerability, timeless as the tales we tell." It was a response straight from the annals of masterclass, reasonable, reflective, redirecting the energy back to artistry without a hint of defensiveness. The audience exhaled collectively, a few nodding in quiet admiration, sensing the dodge of a bullet. Sarah jumped in with a timely save, her voice bright as polished brass. "Absolutely. Judi, your M in the bonds alone showed such range. From Ice Queen to heartbreaking vulnerability. It's inspired a generation." Mark chimed in too, chuckling warmly. And don't get me started on your stage work. Philomena had us all in bits. For a heartbeat. The set thawed, laughter bubbling up like champagne. But Denise wasn't one to let the moment slip her grip. Her smile tightened, a predator sensing blood. And she leaned forward again, elbows on knees, eyes narrowing with that confrontational intensity that had made her a tabloid darling. The shift was palpable, her northern warmth curdling into something edgier, more insistent. "Right. But come on, Judi, let's not dance around it," she said, her voice dipping into a mock confidential hush that carried to every corner of the room. "How many times can you play a queen or a dame in all her finery? Or that archetype of the elder stateswoman perched in a manor house, doling out wisdom like it's going out of style? I mean, surely after 6 decades, you must feel a tad boxed in, pigeonholed by the scripts that keep coming your way. Do you not ever itch to break free, to dive into something edgier, more modern? Something raw and relatable that pulses with the chaos of today, social media, scandals, gig economy grind, the mess of millennial angst? You know, roles that scream now instead of once upon a time?" She lingered on today, letting it snap like a whip. The subtext unmistakable. Judi's oeuvre was a relic, dusty and disconnected, appealing only to nostalgia buffs while the world raced forward without her. It was a jab wrapped in velvet, implying stagnation, not just repetitive roles, but a career too timid or entrenched for reinvention. The implication stung. Was the dame too set in her ways, too elite to touch the grit of contemporary life? The room held its breath. The audience's buzz faded to murmurs, some shifting uncomfortably, others leaning in despite themselves. drawn to the unfolding drama like moths to a bare bulb. The other host's discomfort etched deeper. Sarah's smile faltered, her hand hovering as if to interject. Mark's chuckle died unspoken, his face a mask of polite strain. One audience member in the front row, a silver-haired fan clutching a faded playbill, whispered audibly to her companion, "That's bang out of order." In the control room, the producer's finger twitched toward the emergency cut button. But curiosity, or masochism, held it back. This was live TV gold, if it didn't implode. Judi paused again, longer this time, her fingers interlacing in her lap as she absorbed the blow. The warmth in her eyes, so vivid moments ago, cooled to a guarded ember. She'd weathered barbs before, snide reviews in the 70s, ageist quips during her Bond run, but this felt insidious, an ambush in friendly confines, undermining the very soil of her legacy on a stage meant for elevation, not excavation. "I think," Judi replied at last, her words chosen with the precision of a scalpel, "that every role holds its own value, be it draped in period silk or stripped to the bone of the present. Modern, classical, relatable in whispers or roars, they all weave the human thread. I select what resonates in my soul, what challenges me to grow, and I stand proud by the tapestry I've helped create. It's not about trends, it's about truth." Her voice, though soft, carried the weight of soliloquies past, steady and unyielding, a quiet thunder that commanded silence. The audience leaned in, a few clapping softly in solidarity, the sound like scattered rain. Sarah seized the opening. "Here, here, your truth and iris alone redefined aging on screen. Timeless." But Denise, undeterred, was already coiling for the next strike. She reclined back in her chair with a theatrical sigh, crossing her arms in a barrier of smug assurance, her head tilting at an angle that screamed challenge. A smirk played at her lips, the kind that said she was the bold truth-teller in a sea of sycophants. "Okay, but let me be brutally honest here, Judi, because that's what we do on this show, isn't it? No filters, just real talk. Some folks, and I mean the critics, the punters scrolling TikTok, the lot, might whisper that. You've been playing it oh so safe for donkey's years now, cozy in your comfort zone, recycling the same stately vibes, shying from the risks that could shake things up. And let's face it, darling, maybe that's precisely why the younger crowd, the Zoomers with their reels and rants, aren't flocking to your flicks like they used to. They don't clock you as cutting edge anymore. They see a luminary from yesteryear, all laurels and no lightning. Great triumphs in the rear view, sure, but cruising on fumes of reputation these days. Have you ever paused mid-script, tea in hand, and wondered if that's the tea? If perhaps it's time to holster the crown and hand the mic to the fresh faces foaming at the mouth for their shot. She let the barrage hang, pausing for effect, her eyes daring Judi to crack, a calculated provocation, designed to unearth vulnerability, to go viral on the back of raw reaction. The cruelty was surgical, not just questioning choices, but framing a lifetime's labor as obsolete. A has-been act in a youth-obsessed arena. The room plunged into utter, bone-deep silence, not a rustle, not a cough, the kind that amplifies heartbeats. Gasps punctured the void, sharp and involuntary. Mouths gaped in the dim house lights. An audience member near the aisle clutched her program to her chest, eyes wide with secondhand mortification. Sarah's face drained of color, her lips parting in a silent, "Oh God." Mark stared at his shoes, jaw clenched, the veteran in him screaming to salvage. In the booth, alarms blared internally. The feed was live, unedited, a train wreck in slow motion. Cameras drank it in mercilessly, the frozen tableau, the electric standoff, the unraveling of civility. This transcended interview. It was an inquisition, a public flaying of a woman who'd poured her essence into roles that outlived trends. From the fiery passion of A Room with a View, to the quiet ferocity of Notes on a Scandal. To label her irrelevant, outdated, coasting, it was heresy to her devotees, a slap to the face of every understudy she'd uplifted, every director she'd championed. Judi sat statue still for a beat, then straightened imperceptibly, her spine aligning like a blade drawn from its sheath. The soft guest evaporated. In her place emerged Dame Judi Dench, the titan who'd stared down Laurence Olivier in rehearsals and outfoxed spies on global screens. Her expression hardened, jaw set, brows a subtle furrow, eyes narrowing to laser focus. The shift rippled outward, a gravitational pull that even Denise couldn't ignore. Her smirk twitched, a hairline fracture of doubt creeping in. Denise, Judi intoned, her voice a velvet-wrapped steel rod, steady, cold, laced with the authority of epics. I have graced this industry for over 60 years, a journey richer than most could dream. I've collaborated with titans, Hitchcock's gaze, Attenborough's vision, Brannow's fire, Oscars in my cabinet, Tony's on my shelf. A spectrum of souls brought to breath, from tragic lovers to comic crones. Always, I've chased honesty, plumbed depths that scare the faint. If you deem that safe, then our compasses point to wildly divergent stars. Artistry, to me, isn't a gamble for applause. It's a vow to vulnerability, timeless as the tales we tell. The words landed like a curtain call ovation, powerful, poised, a velvet glove over an iron fist. Murmurs swelled from the seats, nods of fierce agreement. A smattering of claps broke free, defiant. Sarah exhaled audibly, relief flooding her features. Judi, that's the spirit. Your depth is what makes you eternal. Mark added gruffly, spot on, lass. Legends don't fade. They forge the path. For a flicker, redemption seemed possible, the pivot to film's trailer. A commercial break to reset. But Denise, ever the provocateur, refused the off-ramp. She waved a hand airily, as if swatting a gnat, and let out a laugh that rang forced, brittle as autumn leaves. Oh, come off it, Judi. Don't go all lofty on us now, she teased, though the edge had blunted to bluster. I'm not having a pop. I'm echoing the chatter in the ether, the honest whispers over pints and lattes. You're a bloody genius. No one's disputing that. Your mantle could hold up the Tate. But, hand on heart, maybe it's high time to cop to the calendar's toll. Best days in the archives? We all crest and coast. It's the circle of life, innit? You've blazed trails that'd make lesser souls weep. No ignominy in easing the throttle, bowing out graceful like. Passing the baton to the whippersnappers with fire in their veins and algorithms in their blood. Step into the wings, let him dazzle. You get me. It's evolution, not exile. Casual as a weather report, devastating as a dirge. The audacity ballooned to absurdity, telling a dame her shelf life had expired. Her throne usurped, all with a chummy grin that masked the venom. Cruelty in cocktail dress. Age's enemy, legacy as liability. The audience detonated, gasps crescendoed to a low roar. Chairs scraping as a dozen stood in protest. Programs crumpling in fists. Disgraceful, floated from the back. Tears glistened in the eyes of a front-row devotee, her lips mouthing silent fury. Sarah stammered forward, voice cracking. Denise, that's... Let's circle back to the film, yeah? Judi's insights on set are gold. Tell us about that pivotal scene with the locket. Mark piled on. Desperate. The director raved about your improv. Pure magic. But the intervention drowned in the deluge. Words once spoken echoed eternal, a toxin seeping into every pore. That was the Rubicon. Denise had vaulted from cheeky to catastrophic, belittling not just a career, but a cultural cornerstone, the woman, who'd voiced bears in animations, and queens in coronations, who'd mentored stars from Keira Knightley to Daniel Craig, on live air, in a den of supposed delight. She'd weaponized honesty to wound. Judi rose then, not in tempest, but in tempest's aftermath, slow, sovereign, every gesture a sonnet of self-possession. She didn't bolt. She ascended, smoothing her blouse with deliberate fingers. She pivoted to face Denise fully, her gaze a forge of disappointment, not self-pity, but sorrow for squandered grace, for a platform poisoned by pettiness. The studio held its collective breath, the air electric with the gravity of giants. I came here today, Judi articulated, her voice a quiet clarion, each syllable etched, resonant, filling the void without amplification, to illuminate my work, to unveil a story born of blood and balm that I cherish deeply, to forge bonds with souls who revere the alchemy of narrative, the thrill of embodiment. I arrived in trust, open-hearted, to this sanctuary of discourse, not to weather barbs from one so evidently blind to the edifice. I've erected brick by aching brick, not to endure decrees of irrelevance, of obsolescence, of a prime purportedly pilfered by time's thief. 60 years and counting, I've toiled beside visionaries who reshaped skylines, infused my veins with verse that outlives us all, heart hurled into every hush, soul seared into every spotlight. I shall not abide here, permitting diminishment of my devotion, my daring, my damnable drive. You shall not wrest that from me. I merit more. This indignity offends not merely me, but the very ethos of exchange. And your public? They deserve discourse dipped in decency, not daggers disguised as dialogue. Denise's retort brewed, lips parting for contrition or counterpunch. A frantic scramble to reclaim the reins, but Judi forestalled it with a palm uplifted, palm out, a benediction turned barrier. The motion was economy incarnate, yet it thundered, imperious, irrevocable, a queen's edict etched in air. No, Judi decreed, the syllable of full stop, final as finest. You've uttered ample. This interlude concludes. It is time I depart. And depart she did, turning on heel with the measured gait of one who owns every stage she treads, unrushed, unrepentant, chin aloft, posture a pillar. The cameras, traitorous sentinels, pursued her trail down the 3 steps, past the applauding fringe who surged to their feet in ovation, toward the shadowed wings, where crew parted like the Red Sea. She spared no backward glance, no hesitation's hitch. It was exodus as exaltation, dignity her diadem. The audience unfroze in waves, tears tracked cheeks, fists pumped in solidarity, a chant of Judi. Judi, swelling like a finale's roar. Some wept openly, shoulders shaking. Others hugged strangers, united in outrage's embrace. No script had primed them for this. A legend's luminous leave-taking, vindicated and victorious. Denise remained rooted, a statue cracked, face aflame with flush, digits drumming a staccato betrayal on her knee. She scanned the panel for succor. Sarah's stare averted, a chasm of chagrin. Mark's mutter lost in the din. The crowd's gaze boomeranged back, laced with opprobrium, booze bubbling low, heads shaking in slow condemnation. Panic pricked her facade. The architect of anarchy, architected into isolation. Then, reflexes ruse, a laugh, ho-ho hollow, bubbling up like bad champagne. Blimey, she quipped, voice wobbling on the wire. That escalated quicker than a soap cliffhanger. Reckon some egos can't stomach straight talk. Folks. The jest cratered, silence's abyss, pierced only by a lone heckle. Apologize, you cow. Hosts mirrored the void, faces funereal. The set's oxygen thinned to thread. Air, right then. Denise rallied, timbre fraying like old rope. Shall we press on? Loads more where that came from. Celebrity scandals. Recipe roulette. But the incantation fizzled. The episode staggered forward. A zombie lurched through segments that rang rote. Guest banter flat as day-old soda. Games met with polite claps. Energy evanesced, the ghost of glory haunting every cue. As ads blanked the screen, chaos reigned backstage. Producers in huddle. Voices of venomous volley. What the hell was that? Damage control now. Walkie-talkies crackled. PR spun into overdrive. Denise, cornered in the green room amid cooling croissants, mounted her mound. I was probing, weren't I? The tough questions that make telly tick. Viewers lap it up. But echoes hollowed her hull. The producer's glare could curdle milk. You ambushed a national treasure, Denise. On air. Fix it, or else. Judi, conversely, vanished into the ether with Elon unmarred. No presser. No pixelated peak on Insta. Her silence? Symphonic. Her oeuvre? Citadel unbreached. Wide a base to the level of the lapse. En route to her Mayfair haven, she rang her director. Darling, the film's the star, let's luncheon on that. Dignity, her default, distanced her from the dross. On set's remnants, Sarah cornered Denise softly. Amid the detritus of discarded prompts. Love, you overstepped. Judi's not past it, she's the blueprint. That was unkind. Denise deflated, gaze glued to linoleum. Rouge running rivers with regret's rain. For the maiden time, the mirror menaced. Viral villainy, not viral vogue. She'd scorched a bridge to Byzantium, birthed a meme storm she'd rue. Twilight brought the tempest online, A digital dust-up devouring feeds. Clips cascaded. The query's kin, Judi's jihad of poise. Hashtag Judi walks out rocketed. Retweets a riptide. Forums frothed with fealty. Queen slayed the serpent. Denise deleted. Petitions pulsed for penance. Brands bolted, balking at the backlash. Denise's dawn tweet? Tepid tea. Deepest regrets if my candor cut. Judi, you're eternal. Meant spark, not scorch. Chin up all. Dismissed as drivel, drowned in disdain. Her show stats? A skid to sub-basement, sponsors scattering like spooked pigeons. Judi? Unfazed, she premiered her opus to ovations oceanic. Houses heaving. Queues queuing round blocks. Sales surging as if despite the slight. In a velvet-draped follow-up on BBC, she mused, a pity. Truly, life script too brief for barbs. Onward to the tales that tether us. Her radiance? Redoubled. Fans flocked fiercer, her outdated aura alchemized to allure ageless. Denise? Demoted to footnotes, her honesty a hero's harvest, a whisper in wings. While Judi reigned resplendent. Epilogue etched in ether. Judi's jaunt wasn't jilting. It was jubilee. A testament that icons don't crumple to crassness. They carve canyons with class, leaving detractors to dust their daisies. Britain, bewitched, banded round their beacon, Dame Eternal. Drama's deft dismissal. And in studios since, hosts heed, honor the hearth, or watch legends light out for freer skies. Their glow undimmed, their gait unbowed. Fade to credits on a career that defies dates. Timeless. Trenchant, triumph incarnate.